Hey YouTube, this is PokeDad, and today I'm doing another deck profile. Today I'm going a little different route. I'm going to talk to you more about a budget deck. Okay, now this deck is probably not going to be ultra competitive, uh, but let me just first off say that my 4-year-old son has a deck very similar to this one, and he plays pretty well with it. Uh, it's a deck that you can take to League, that you should be able to do fairly well against most decks at League. It's extremely inexpensive. Matter of fact, most of the cards here are well under $1 each. Many of them are like 13, 14, 15 cents each, 20 cents each. So this is a deck that you can, if you really want to you don't have hardly any money to get started, you can't afford all the big EXs, but you still want to play and you want to have a step up above a theme deck, then this is the deck to go with. In fact, I would almost say if you're just starting out, spend your money on this deck instead of buying a theme deck. Theme decks can be nice, but they're just not going to be very playable. Even in League, I mean, you'll find people, like I always take an extra weaker deck with me to League just so that if I'm playing someone against a theme deck, I can kind of teach them how to play and not like overly kill them. But this deck will be competitive at League. It's really cheap, and it's actually quite fun because it teaches a lot of mechanics of the game. Alright, so we have basically 3 non-EX Pokemon, and they work in tandem with each other. In fact, it's actually kind of cool how that they work. So let's just start off with the first one. The first one is Miltank. Now Miltank only has 100 HP, but we only want to use his first attack. Now I guess if you were in a very dire situation, you could use the second attack. We can get it charged up, and for 3 colorless energy, we can hammer in for 60. But the idea here is we want to use powerful friends. Since we're using 2 stage 2 Pokemon, it just makes sense to go ahead and get Miltank with just 1 energy, and then we can hit powerful friends. The powerful friends hits for 10, but if you have a stage 2 Pokemon on your bench, then his attack does, or I should say her attack, does 70 more damage. So Miltank will hit for 80 for 1 energy. If you slap a muscle band on, you're now hitting for 100. Okay, so Miltank is one of our main attackers. In fact, we want to put Miltank in the active most of the time to do the most damage. That moves us right into Wurmple, Cascoon, and Dustox. And in fact, we play 2 versions of the Dustox. These are just from Roaring Skies, the most recent set. And Wurmple is the basic, so we start off with there. There's nothing really to talk about except maybe Flock. If you end up starting with a Wurmple and it looks like your opponent's going to knock you out, you can at least attach an energy to Wurmple, use Flock, and that'll allow you to grab another Wurmple and put it on your bench. Can sometimes save you an extra turn. Cascoon is stage 1. We don't really use anything here, but if you had to attack, you could have we play double colorless in this deck. So if you played a DCE, you could use Iron Defense, which would prevent all damage done to this Pokemon if you flip heads. So Cascoon can still stall out a turn. So if you get stuck with Cascoon in the active, that's okay. Now we have 2 versions of Dustox. We play a 2-2 split. You can mix and match how you feel because both of these are very inexpensive. And I'm actually going to show you that in just a moment. But Dustox, this Dustox, kind of like the half art is what they're called. It has the ancient trait Delta Plus. And this is the one that if you could get a knockout with him, you can score an extra prize card. So he's really good for sniping to the bench. Now, the problem is his attacks are quite weak. His flap attack only hits for 20. You can put a muscle band on and hit for 40, but you're not going to knock anything out with that. So that Dustox is not a very big attacker. We want to use the second attack, which is Wind Shard. It's 1 grass and a double colorless, and this attack does 50 damage to one of your opponent's bench. Now, it is important to note you cannot hit the active with Wind Shard, so you have to hit their bench. If you're going to hit the active, you got to use flap, and you're only going to do 20 damage. But Wind Shard is good for sniping basics that are just getting started. You can hit. In fact, in one of the battle videos I did, I was playing against a Bats deck, and I was able to use Dustox Wind Shard against an opposing bat, a Zubat that had not been able to evolve yet. And it allowed me to do two things: knock out one of their bat lines, but at the same time I was able to grab 2 prizes. So you want to look for opportunities to use this Dustox to the bench for very weak Pokemon. We play 2 of these Dustox, and this one's a little bit stronger. However, it takes more energy to charge it up. Now, don't be afraid to use Psybeam. It does 30 damage, and the active Pokemon is now confused. So you can confuse your opponent, but the real big one we want to use is Twilight Poison. It takes 4 energies. So 2 grass and a double colorless, and you can hit for 80. Now your opponent's active Pokemon then goes to sleep and is poisoned. 80 is actually a very good number because there's so many stage 1s that are right at the 90 HP. So you're going to hit them for 80, but then you're going to poison them, which will knock them out for 90. And you can also slap a muscle band on Dustox if you want, and that'll now hit for 100 plus poison, which is 110. So he's like, even though Miltank is the one we want to keep in the active for attacking most of the time, Dustox can also attack. This Dustox can attack also. We move on to the bat lines. Now, I've talked about Zubat before. You can get the ones that you should get that are the cheapest are the ones from Phantom Forces, and you can get 4 of these for little to nothing. 4 of these, they don't have free retreat, but you're not going to be putting them in the active very often until they've evolved anyway. So Zubat is the stage 1. Now, I've done a lot of bat videos, so I'm not going to go into major detail on these, but Sneaky Bite, Golbat does Sneaky Bite, allows you to put 2 damage counters on any of your opponent's Pokemon, and then when you evolve to stage 2, Crobat, Surprise Bite allows you to put 3 damage counters on. And so we can keep recycling them using Super Scoop Ups, AZ, and we can keep recycling that attack. Furthermore, for just 1 energy, you can do Skill Dive, which will allow you to hit 30. So you can evolve and hit for 30, and then you can Skill Dive for another 30. So you can actually hit for 60 in 1 turn to your opponent, and it can be any of their Pokemon, including their bench. So now can you see how if we use bats to start weakening their bench, use Miltank in the active to weaken their active, and then Dustox can come in and finish something off with Wind Shard, and we can gain 2 prizes or an extra prize. If it's an EX, we can gain 3 prizes in 1 turn. Alright, so that's our Pokemon right there. Now, if you will, give me just a few moments to show you, and we'll get back to the deck in just a minute, but give me a few minutes to show you the prices on these, because they're very, very good. You can build this deck for very cheap. So let's just look at Dustox for a second. Here's the 2 Dustox. This is actually a rare card, and this is only an uncommon card. So you would think that this one is more expensive than this one, but if you look at the price right now, you can see that they're lightly played or near mint, 15 cents plus free shipping. Alright, now you do have to, like, if this is tcgplayer.com, and there's other resources, there's eBay, there's Troll and Toad. This is just one that I like to use to kind of give me an idea of what the prices are on the cards. But this one, you can see 15 cents plus shipping is included. Now, they usually require that you at least spend $1, but you can probably pick up all of these for you know, several dollars, 10, 15 bucks for the Pokemon, probably maybe even less than that. And then the other Dustox, this is an uncommon, and you can see it's also running 14, 15 cents. So that's just Dustox. The next one, let's look at Crobat. Now Crobat is one of the more expensive ones. You can see though it's running for 60 cents, but it's also running for 99 cents shipping. So about $1.60 here. However, let me just give you a hint. Go to your local comic shop, comic and card shops. Go to their bin. They have tons of bins where they just dump in rares, commons, uncommons. You should be able to find, if you can't find Crobat, you should at least be able to find Zubat and Golbat. And I was able to get my Zubats for 10 cents each and my Golbats for 25 cents each. And then Crobat, if you can find them now, they might charge a little bit more. He is a rare, so you might get it for $1. But again, you're only running 2 of these in the deck. So don't worry about that one. You're not going to spend too much on. Miltank. This card, I'm surprised, is not more expensive because I see it played in a lot of decks. It's like a good second attacker in many decks. In fact, if you're playing, you know, like an EX deck, and you know but you're also playing Bats or another Stage 2. Miltank is just excellent to add in to go against like Suicune, Sigilyph, those safeguard Pokemon, because she can knock out them in one shot. As you can see, 20 cents for Miltank. Pick up 3 or 4 of those for hardly anything. Now I'm not going to go through all the cards. I just wanted to show you the Pokemon. The supporter cards and the trainer cards are the same, except VS Seeker is quite expensive. I think last time I looked it was going for like $4.50 for each one of these. These are just really, really expensive. And we'll talk about an alternative, if you can't afford that, an alternative to VS Seeker. The other card that might be a little expensive is Muscle Band. I think those were going for $2.50 to $3 each. I really recommend you get these if at all possible. If you can't buy them, trade for them. Trade a EX that's not used very much for one. I'll give an example. In Roaring Skies, there's the Thundurus EX. Most people, even though they won't use Thundurus in a deck, they would gladly trade a Muscle Band for a Thundurus. So that's just an idea. And the Thundurus is only like $1.50. It's actually cheaper than the Muscle Band. And then the double colorless, I think, are about $1 each. You should be able to find energies if you don't have those already. Okay, let's look right into the trainers. We'll kind of go quickly. We'll play 2 rare candies. This is not for the bat line. We want to get the bats going naturally. We don't want to, unless we just absolutely need to, for maybe like getting a Miltank's Powerful Friends attack. We do not want to rare candy to Crobat. Alright, we want to get all the bites we can. So it's best that we don't rare candy into Crobat. We do want to rare candy though from Wurmple to Dustox. Now we play 2 Cascoons so we can go through naturally, but we also play 2 rare candies so we can accelerate going from Wurmple to Dustox right away. So that's why we play those. Now we play repeat balls. We want to have multiple. The ideal bench is 2 Miltanks, 2 Dustox, and 2 bat lines. That's kind of ideal. It doesn't have to be that perfect, but repeat ball is going to allow me, so that if I have a Wurmple and I need to get another one out, go ahead and get another one out. If I have a Zubat and I need to get another one out, I can get another one out. Or if I need to get another Miltank, I can get another Miltank. So that's what the repeat ball is. Now the Ultra Ball is to use to get whatever we don't have. So maybe we have a Miltank and a Zubat, but we need to get our Dustox line started. So we can Ultra Ball for the Wurmple. Or maybe we have the Wurmple and a rare candy. We can Ultra Ball for the Dustox, and now we can go ahead and rare candy straight to Dustox. So the Ultra Balls, we play 3 of them. They get us the whatever we need, whatever we don't already have, and the repeat balls get us more of what we already do have. Sounds simple enough, right? Alright, moving right along. Now I was going to play switching cards in this deck. Escape Rope, Switch, that's just standard in most decks. But because we're using the bat line and we want to reuse it, it's better to play Force Super Scoop Ups. Super Scoop Up does require a coin flip, and if it hits tails it does nothing. But if it hits heads, you can recycle your bats so you can reuse them over and over. Or if Miltank or Dustox is about to go down, you can heal them, bring them back into your hand, and then put them back down. Or at least you can start the Wurmple line, and you know that you have Dustox available for either another rare candy, or you can go ahead and go back to Cascoon. That's not the ideal situation, but if you need to do that, you can. Also, it plays as a switching card. So let's say Wurmple stuck in the active. I have a Crobat on the bench and a Miltank on the bench. I can Super Scoop up the active Wurmple, bring up Miltank, and start hitting with powerful friends. So there you have it. The next thing is we have 2 Muscle Bands. This just adds 20 more damage to your opponent's active when you attack. So it's a damage enhancer, specifically mostly to be used on Miltank, but it can be used on Dustox. It can't even be used, it could be used on Crobat also if you absolutely needed it. Alright, then we play the 3 VS Seekers. Now again, I told you this is probably the most expensive card in this whole deck. If you cannot afford 450, because there's 3 of them here, and I recommend playing 3, then we'll talk about which supporter cards you should add. Okay, if you cannot afford 3 VS Seekers, you'll want to add another AZ, giving you 2 AZs. You want to add another Lysander, giving you 3 Lysanders, and then it doesn't matter. You can add another Birch or another Shauna. So you could go 4 Sycamore, 4 Shauna, and 4 Birch. 2 Birch, or you can go 4 Sycamore, 3 Shauna, and 3 Birch. Alright, but I would add an extra AZ in, and I would add an extra Lysander in if you don't want to use the VS Seekers. VS Seeker does give you more flexibility, so I do recommend them if you can play them, because basically you can pick out any supporter that's in your discard pile and put it back into your hand. Alright, so let's look at the supporters just briefly. Most of these you already know about. AZ, put one of your Pokemon in your hand, so you can, again, it's kind of like the Super Scoop Up, but you don't have to flip. It's going to automatically work. The only difference is Super Scoop Up, if it passes, you get all the cards on the Pokemon and put them back in your hand, which means energies and muscle bands. AZ, if you scoop up a Miltank and it has a grass energy with a muscle band on it, then you're going to lose the grass energy and the muscle band. So AZ you primarily want to be using for your bats so that you can reuse the bat lines. Lysander just wins games. When you need, in this case it might be where you need to wind shard something to win, you can take a Lysander up something off the bench, move the active to the bench, and then wind shard 50, drawing that extra prize. Or if Miltank can finish something off with a powerful friends, Lysander up that Pokemon on the bench, and Miltank can finish it off with powerful friends. Alright, we also play 3 draw supporters. Now this deck is based XY on. Most of the old draw supporters like N and Colress can be very expensive. They're running like $2.50 to $5 each. All of these draw supporters I think you could get for like 50 or 60 cents each. So for Sycamore allows you to discard your hand and draw 7. Shauna, 3 of those. Shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw 5. And then Birch, shuffle your hand into your deck and flip a coin. If heads, draw 7. If tails, draw 4. Those are all draw supporters, so those, and it's important, we're playing 9 of them. We need all 9 of them in this deck, okay? We're not playing shamans, we're not playing any item cards that do draw support, so we need these 9 cards in our deck. Finally, let's look at our energies. 7 grass energies, 1 energy for Miltank. You need a grass and a double colorless to get, actually sometimes you need 2 grass and a double colorless to get Dustox going. And then grass can also be played on any of these guys and you can still use their attack. So double colorless primarily used on Dustox, though you can use it on Miltank if you need to. Actually, you can use it on any of them. But the grass are primarily Miltank and the bats, and to fill out the rest of Dustox. Anyway, guys, I hope that kind of enlightens you. This is just a very inexpensive budget deck. It's actually a lot of fun to play too. I mean, it gives you a good attacker to hit the active, but it also allows you to snipe to the bench. It keeps your opponent off balance and keeps them on their toes. Alright, so that's all I have for you. Hit like, subscribe if you haven't. Put in the comments what you think about this deck. Tell me what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what you would change about it. But remember, try to keep it budget friendly, any changes that you make. And then finally, guys, remember, we are running a contest till August 12th, so we've got about a month left. You can win free Pokemon cards. It's free to enter. So I'll have a link in the description, and I'll also put a little pop-up on the video so you can get more information about that. And anyway, this is PokeDad signing out. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.